Hello guys, it's me, Edo Kami-sama. Today it is Monday, July 11th, 4:27 p.m. So, today this video is going to be a little different. I'm not going to talk a lot about Japan. In fact, I'm not going to mention anything Japan related. In fact, this video is referencing the current tide that's going on as we speak now in the States, in America. As I stated before, I'm in Japan. I'm living in Japan right now. But due to some circumstances, more than likely I will be returning to the States soon. If not now, maybe a couple of months, maybe in the fall. But there was this recent thing that I saw on YouTube that was they wanted people to give their reactions in regards to the police shootings and killings. So, first let me go into a little backdrop story, okay, about myself. Growing up, I never thought I'd have to encounter police at all. In fact, I've always tried to be a law-abiding citizen. Now, that's not to say that I've had my fair shares of being a little wild, or a doctor or a lawyer. Just in none, because for some reason it just didn't. It wasn't a superhero, so I wasn't interested. Okay, but I was into the whole Dare. Those were bad, and Dare. What was it? I can't remember the thing against drugs. Officers coming to my school and talking to me about how drugs were bad and so. And I remember how police officers were always kind to me and nice to me as a child, as a kid. Now, as I became older, when I got to high school, things kind of changed a little bit, and I started hearing things about police officers that I didn't believe. Even when I was in middle school, me and my friends would listen to Tupac, Biggie Smalls, hip hop, and so forth. And I remember how they would always mention, "Do not trust the police." Public Enemy, the "fuck the police" scenario, the whole "fuck the police." No, that wasn't Public Enemy. That was NWA. Public Enemy did 911's a joke in this town. Okay. But as a kid, I didn't get that. I didn't understand it. I didn't really see what everybody was. Black men who are police officers in my community, whose friends' fathers that I know are police officers. I just kind of shrugged it off as, oh, this person is just trying to fall in line with the sell the money, be the studio gangster mentality. Okay. But it wasn't until I got older, namely out of high school into college, and now into adulthood, that I really started seeing what everybody was constantly talking about. And even hearing stories in middle school, but shrugging them off. I mean, I would hear horrific stories about what police officers would do to people of color, not just all colors, but specifically dark-skinned people, black people, African Americans, or black Americans, or black people. Okay, Haitians, Jamaicans, anything in that category. I remember the shooting in New York. If I got the story correctly, in NYPD, the police surrounded this individual guy. This I think he was Haitian or African. He didn't understand the procedures or rules, and when he went to reach for his wallet, they opened fire and turned him. I mean, they opened fire. I forget how many shots they put into this man, but they killed him. I remember that as if it was yesterday. Well, we'll say as if it was 2 weeks ago, because it's kind of vaguely remembered, but I remember that was one of the things I thought was so shocking. And then another black male on his way to prom was gunned down. Innocent. On his way to prom. Was gunned down. Killed. Okay? So I thought, well, maybe that's just the NYPD issue. That's in New York. That's not in my area. Okay? That can never happen in my area. Until one night I was leaving. Now, me and a friend, an old friend, mind you, I was in college. Me and a friend were just coming back from a trip where I think we just coming back from a trip from Charlotte. Okay, and mind you, the area that my friend lived at the time was kind of a rough area. It had to be pretty late. It wasn't dark. I was in a hurry to get home because I had to go to school the next day. I had to go to classes the next day, and I was exhausted and tired. I dropped him off. I leave the neighborhood. Now I notice a police officer is right behind me. Okay. Now I take it with a grain of salt. I'm thinking, oh, okay, there's no issue. Now, for those of you who don't know or who are from other countries and who don't understand this, what the police will do in the States is, especially in my area, what they'll do is, if it's dark, sometimes they will tell you, they'll follow you, they'll come up behind you, as if approaching with no lights on will not be noticeable. And then they'll follow you maybe about 5 or 10 to 15 minutes, and then flash the lights and pull you over. It's as if they're looking for a reason to pull you over or trying to figure out something to pull you over as they are getting ready to pull you over. Okay? Now, this happened to me. And I remember it was 5 or 10 minutes. I was really close to my house. The cop gets out of the car. Now, I pull up in front of a house, mind you. And this gentleman, he comes out, stands on his porch and starts watching. Me being young and naive, I don't really get what's going on. I don't really get it. Okay, I don't understand. But me being frustrated, the cop says something. He's like, he says license and registration. Okay, and then he asks me another question. And as soon as I say, my tone is specific like this. He says 99 something. It annoyed the hell out of me. And I said, yes. Like, yeah, man. Like that. Like, why in the world would you pull me over 5 to 10 minutes after you're telling me? It's as if you're just dicking around with me, okay? And so as soon as I do that, he gets ready to reach for his gun. He's like, whoa, we got a problem? And he smiles. The way that I'm smiling now, he smiles at me, getting ready to reach for his gun. Now, this was a black cop, okay? I know I shouldn't put in the race, but I didn't believe this, but yes, this was a black officer who did this, okay? And I had to keep both hands on the steering wheel and say, calm down. I had to calm down and say, no, it's not. I don't have a problem. Now, after that, he goes back to his car, and he doesn't write me a ticket, but he gives me a warning. And I drive off, okay? Of course, I was frustrated. All right, now let's go to situation 2. Situation 2. Now, I was going to and from work, working for my sister. Okay? She had her own business at the time. And so I was driving. Every car I've had is a nice car. I keep my cars nice, clean, and kept. Okay? Even if they're not run-of-the-mill cars, if they're not too flashy, but I still take pride in the cars that I drive. So, I'm driving my car down this highway, and the police randomly stop me. Okay? 2 white officers. They get out of the car, and they ask me, where am I going? Where am I coming from? And I'm thinking it's a strange question. It throws me off. So I say to the officers, well, I'm actually going to work. I'm coming to and from work. I was just going to get some lunch, but I'm going back to work. And the officer said, you weren't just coming from my house? You sure you weren't coming from my house? Because they had got a call that there was a dispute at another house, and that my car matched the description of the car of the suspect that was in a domestic dispute or whatnot. Okay, Now there were multiple cars that went up and down this little area, this little road, and my car wasn't the only car wasn't the only car, but they pulled me over anyway. Okay, so I still just thought, well, I was being naive, still mildly naive. Okay. Situation number 3. All right, so situation number 3 was a little more direct. So, situation number 3. I'm coming home from work. I live in Cary, North Carolina. Okay, I'm in Cary. Okay. So I'm heading home, and it's you have 2 lanes. Okay, you have 2 lanes, and one lane is one lane is covered by shrubs and trees. I mean, not covered, but there's a little walkway where they decorate it with with trees and bushes and so forth. And so, if you're driving the opposite direction, there's no way you can see the other car coming. Okay, on the other lane. Okay, so as I'm approaching the signal light, the intersection signal light, it's green. It's green. So I go. But as I look sideways, I notice there's another car that speeds right past the intersection. And by this time, the intersection light had turned, the signal light had turned red. So not only was the person going above the speed limit, but they were also running a red light. Okay? But there's a police officer behind me. Okay, so I'm thinking he's going to go by. All right? So, as I'm driving, the police officer, they will do this. They'll tell you for about 5, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, okay? And they give you just enough time they give you enough time to become nervous. That's what they do. They give you enough time to become nervous. I almost would go out on a limb to say as though it's a psychological game they try to play with you on the highway, or just on the roads in general, okay? So, the officer turns on his lights, his flashers, okay, flash. So I take it with a grain of salt. I don't pay any attention. I turn into my neighborhood. The cop pulls up right behind me. So I'm thinking, this is strange. Okay. Now the police officer, if I recall, it takes him a while to get out of the car. Okay. But while he's doing that, I'm making preparations to just deal with this officer. So, I have my registration out. I have my ID. I also have my sister on the phone and my mother, because the car is in my mother's name, and anything that's suspicious may come up wrong. So, the police officer asks for my information, and he goes back to his car. Then he finally comes back and says, well, my tags were outdated, so that's why he stopped me. But, mind you, how could he see my tags and notice them that far away when it's, number 1, dark, number 2, there was another individual who had sped right past and ran a red light, so they were going above the speed limit, and not only that, they ran a red light, but he pulls me over. Okay? Now, of course, he lets me off with a warning. But that was a little, in my opinion, that was a little strange. Because I know if I was an officer, which I did try to train to try to be an officer. They have a test where they want you to put in full detail what happens. You need to know every single thing. You need to know every single thing that happens. You have to put everything in writing. I don't care what it is, till the rock moved and my wheel turned left and as the wheel turned left, the suspect got out. I mean, it has to be in full detail, okay? So, how could this person notice my tags being outdated from that far? When number one, it was dark, and number two, he was a couple of cars behind me. Okay? Think about it. We're going to cut to part 2 of my video in the next segment.